Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. Today we're taking a drive through Scandle City, Justin Trudeau's favorite place. We've got two different scandals for the price of one here. I've got a bunch of clips here curated from Michael Barrett. He's been doing a lot of great work here. First off, we've got the Aga Khan scandal, and then we've got some updated clips of what's going on with the ArriveCan scandal. A bunch of people are being interviewed. It's just starting to really stink. It is getting really stinky. It's like a seafood party that just doesn't end. So first up, the Aga Khan scandal. This is Justin Trudeau's, what was it, 2016 vacation scandal?
Remember Justin Trudeau's illegal vacation to Millionaire Island in 2016? Well, the RCMP opened an investigative file into it, and I got my hands on some of the documents from their investigative file, and I asked the head of the Mounties about it this week.
I have questions for you that come from an access to information request. It deals with a decision tree from section 121(1)(c) of the Criminal Code, fraud on government. It's by the RCMP, and they've populated information on the document. It asks a series of questions with respect to Justin Trudeau's visit to the Aga Khan Island, Bells Cay. Was Mr. Trudeau a government official at the time? And it says yes.
Yes.
Did Mr. Trudeau accept a benefit from the Aga Khan? It says yes. Did the Aga Khan have dealings with the government? It says yes.
Yeah.
Then it says, did Mr. Trudeau have consent in writing of the head of a branch of government for whom he worked? It says unknown. At that point it says, if yes, then the final verdict would be not guilty. But it goes on, if no, did Mr. Trudeau know that he accepted was a benefit from a person who had dealings with the government? Yes. And then if yes, it says, final verdict, guilty of fraud on the government. Now we know that in fact Mr. Trudeau did not have a writing from the head of branch of the government for whom he worked, because that question was put to him in the House of Commons.
Did the Prime Minister give himself permission to take that free holiday in 2016?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker.
Commissioner, did the RCMP call Mr. Trudeau and ask him the question?
Did we contact the Prime Minister in relation to this one? No.
The RCMP didn't pick up the phone, but Conservatives asked him the question. We got the answer.
The RCMP looked into this matter, and no political interference was around it. They came to their own conclusion. There was nothing to pursue.
And that answer is publicly available, and it was not protected like transcripts from a committee. So it could be used and has evidentiary value. Knowing that, and knowing based on that decision tree, wouldn't that affect the decision of the RCMP to lay a charge of fraud on government against the Prime Minister if all of the criteria set out in the decision tree from Watt's Manual of Criminal Jury Instruction were satisfied?
Oh, checkmate, Trudeau. I don't know. Things are getting pretty close, buddy. Getting pretty close on some of your scandals here. This one scandal after another. They're getting closer. Yeah, I mean, you got the video footage too. It's just like kind of a smoking gun, man. So I don't know how Trudeau's going to try to weasel his way out of this one, but if this one doesn't go, we've got ArriveCan, we've got so many other scandals. So next up for the ArriveCan, we've got a couple people being interviewed here. One of them is Roch Hupe. This guy is well, he's got quite the title. He's the Comptroller General. What a title, which is he's responsible for government-wide direction and leadership for financial management, internal audit, federal assets, and acquired services, in brackets, project management. He also leads the Financial Management Transformation Initiative within the Government of Canada. So this guy's questioned, and he is looking like a squirrely liar who doesn't want to be there. It just seems the more people they question, the more of these guys, I don't know if they're nervous or if they're all guilty.
The Treasury Board should know how many government employees are also double dipping with federal government contracts. So how many employees meet that criteria?
All right. Sorry, sir. You mean within Treasury Board, or you mean
that work for the government?
So that guy there is the Roch Hupe. It's hard to see his name tag.
government-wide? I don't have that information right now.
Sit down here.
I don't know.
Will you provide that to the committee?
I could see what's in the art of the possible. Like I say, I'd have to talk to my colleague, who's the Chief Human Risk Officer for the Government of Canada. We're digging our own information, obviously, so we would have to see what.
So you'll undertake to provide that information?
I'll undertake to see what's in the art of the possible there and get back to the committee with the possibilities of what we could report.
So instead of getting back to us with the possibilities, can you get back to us with what you find?
I could definitely try to do that, yeah.
So that's a yes?
We will get back to the committee with what
Sir,
we
it's a
actually
very
find.
simple question.
Yeah,
Will you
we will come
provide us-
back with what we find.
You'll come back with what you find?
Fine.
Yes,
Okay.
I understood it as a yes, so thank you very much.
Okay,
Yes,
so
Mr.
that's an
Chair.
undertaking to provide the information that was requested. Okay.
Correct.
We find.
Yes.
If we find we have issues doing it, that's what we found, we will let the committee know.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, that's what that's all I could.
What you've just said is that you're going to provide us with the information. You're not going to provide us with information about the information you can provide us. So you said before to Mr. Genuis that you were being forthcoming.
Yeah.
The only thing that's been forthcoming is each time we ask the same question multiple times, we get more information each time that we ask it. So you're either being transparent or you're not. You've made an undertaking to the committee that has been well received by the chair that you will provide the information. So that's not a question I'm looking for a response. That is a statement of fact.
I'm trying to be honest here.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to be honest with you that the assurance that you're giving is that you are not being forthcoming. You came to the committee today. You knew that this was an issue, that we have government employees who are double dipping, getting contracts from from the government. This is absolutely unacceptable. It strains the bounds of public confidence when the government says, "Yep, we hired many orders of magnitude more public servants than we've ever had, but we don't have the capabilities to do the work that we need to do. So we're going to outsource that work, and we're going to outsource it to the tune of millions of dollars to people who already work for the federal government." That's why you're going to provide the information.
We'll come back with what we find.
Thank you very much.
The guy says yes, and it's like, I'll try. And it's just like he very specifically wants to put in these little words that gives him an exit out. It's just so slimy. So what we're talking about here is that Roch Hupe has committed to bringing forward all of the contracts, 118 contracts totaling $107 million. And the double dipping, we're talking about this guy, David Yao, who is the president and founder of Dalian, which is one of those companies that got a bunch of that RiveCan money. And he's a government employee.
I am quite struck by the fact that Mr. David Yao was an outside contractor while also a government employee. Aside from the fact that, as best we can tell, he was contracted out to do absolutely nothing as part of the whole Arrive scam process, the reason you contract out is apparently because you don't have the expertise inside the public service. That's the whole idea of contracting out. We don't have the expertise internally, so we're going to contract out. So what an absolutely absurd, bizarre spectacle to have the contracting out to a person who is also a government employee. I want to ask a few questions about this. Mr. Hupe, fundamentally, is this allowed?
So I can't talk about this particular case, but fundamentally to your question, sir, so the directive on conflict of interest says it's not disallowed, but it really raises flag to the effect if you're going to have a second employment, if there's going to be any perceived or real conflict of interest, you need to disclose it. So
okay. Sorry, I'm gonna jump in on a few points. Number one, why can't you discuss this specific case? Number two, to say it's allowed but it raises flags. I mean, clearly that's a bit of a problem. It's either allowed or it's not allowed, and in fairness to Mr. Yao, it was on his LinkedIn profile, so it was kind of hiding in plain sight.
So I can't talk about this case because I don't know exactly the work that was delivered. I have no clue about the contract itself.
Well, one thing is clear, though, aside from the particulars of the work done, he worked for Veterans Affairs Canada. Yeah. That department got contracts from Dalian. Dalian did work, received money through the Arrive can process. It was on his LinkedIn profile that he was both a government employee and a contractor. So based on that, is that allowed?
So let me be clear. If there was a conflict of interest, no, it's not allowed.
Okay, that's a heck of a caveat, though, sir.
Okay,
so
we can't prevent someone from having a second job. For example, your dad's got a shop somewhere. You go at night and you help him out. That's not prohibited.
Okay, but me selling ice cream on the corner while also working for the government is not the same as selling to the same department that I work for. So can you just tell us directly? you said if it's a conflict of interest, then that's a problem. I think it's pretty clear that it is a conflict of interest, and therefore it's a problem.
There's an investigation into that. That's why I'm refraining myself from talking about it. D&D is looking into it. If there is a conflict,
part of the problem with this whole process
man.
is that we seem unwilling to call a spade a spade. Like this, the department was selling to the company that he worked for while he was also an employee of the department. So you know, how many investigators do you need to figure out that that's a conflict of interest?
Mr. Chair, I think I'm being actually forthcoming here. I'm telling pretty much a spade is a spade in a sense. If there is a conflict of interest, yes, it was a problem. There is an investigation. I'm not privy to those information.
Okay.
I have no clue. There could be an explanation. So I'm going to let that roll out. But I think I'm being forthcoming and saying absolutely there's a problem.
I'm going to bang through a few other quick questions in the time I have left. Last week, my colleague Larry Brock asked for a list of all government employees who are using the Yao double dipping model. Do you have that list available?
We for all government, no.
Okay, for all government employees that are
now
are
for all
also
departments, we don't have that list. No, absolutely. We've got a list inside TBS of our employees that did declare potential conflicts and
okay, how many within TBS are there?
165 employees, including 40 executive.
Sorry, I'm not asking about just dual employment like they sell ice cream on the weekends. I'm asking people that are contractors to the government and employees of the government at the same time. How many do you have at TBS on that?
So we have none of those that have like dual employee.
Is there work being done compiling a list across government? Because my colleague asked for that list.
Can I come back to I said, it doesn't fall in, but we'll check.
It's unbelievable. You got these guys just plain sight. They work in the government, but then they're contracted out of the government to the same person to run it through their business. Like, just the corruption is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. We keep going here. We've got another clip.
Mr. Doan perjured himself in front of a parliamentary committee. That's lying for the uninitiated. Is that the type of thing that disqualifies a CTO from a bonus?
I'm not sure how to answer that question in the sense that, I mean, there's a lot of hypotheticals in the way that you posed it.
If someone lies to a standing committee of the Parliament of Canada... Yes,
putting it that way, absolutely.
They cannot be bonused.
If it's a hypothetical, I would say yes.
Okay. How many email... And actually, I'm going to back up there. Would you get fired for that?
Quite possibly. It might even be you're not perjuring yourself. I would imagine the RCMP would take an interest in that.
Okay, Ms. Cahill is nodding her head that you'd get...
When employees get their clearance, their security clearance, there are some criteria, and obtaining a valid security clearance is a condition of employment in the public service.
Okay.
Therefore, should the findings be found, it could really happen.
And is it known how many emails Mr. Doan deleted?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with emails deleted.
You're not familiar with the tens of thousands of documents that it's been alleged that Mr. Doan deleted?
No.
That is the time, Mr. Barrett.
Yikes.
Oh, Michael Barrett's like, what? Oh, geez. It's like, what is going on here, man? There's just so much bloated bureaucracy and corruption and just... Ugh. Next up, Michael Barrett brought this up in the House of Commons, and the defense minister was the one to answer to this.
We learned that in the Prime Minister's $60 million Arrive scam, one of the contractors who was paid millions is actually a bureaucrat for this NDP Liberal government. That's why Common Sense Conservatives passed a motion in this House demanding that this government produce all of the documents on this Prime Minister scandal. Will he stand in his place and commit to releasing every last page?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, 24 hours. 24 hours after we became aware that the CEO of Dalian was a D&D employee, we've taken action, Mr. Speaker. We have suspended all contracts with Dalian. We have suspended the employee, and we have launched an investigation on how this person became an employee of D&D in the first place. Mr. Speaker, we will act to ensure that we protect the integrity of our institutions and our government.
The Honourable Member for Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's offer it a little louder for those in the back. What we're looking for is a commitment from this government to release every page of those documents, because after 8 years, it's clear to see that these Liberals aren't worth the corruption with their NDP Liberal Prime Minister. It's very clear, a $60 million scandal with people in their basements getting paid $20 million, not doing any IT work, and now we have that minister's staff who are getting paid millions of dollars while Canadians are lined up at food banks. So another question, and I'll say it loud so the minister can hear it, will they stand in their place to getting Canadians money back for their corruption?
It's a chalet, it's not a cottage. Oh God, this is just turning into an absolute mess. You've got so many of these guys involved now. It's just Bill Blair, man, come on. He's like, oh yeah, we're looking into it. We're doing something. You guys aren't doing nothing. You guys are doing nothing. They do absolutely nothing until they're found out for their crimes. That's what happens every single time. At this point, they're getting closer to cracking this thing open. They're starting to flush out the rats. This scandal is going much deeper than I think anyone thought, and it's just, there's deleted emails. There's this big hole of where the connections of who hired who's responsible, nobody. At this point, I think it's time to round up a bunch of these people, make sure they don't flee, put them all in lockdown until we figure out who's the kingpin, who's involved, who made money off of this. Canadians demand our money back. That's what it comes down to. As far as I'm concerned, every dollar that was stolen from taxpayers should equal 1 day in jail. They steal $1 million, you get 1 million days in jail.
It's a chalet. It's not a cottage.
At this point, you got to wonder, is this a big network of just a whole bunch of people who concocted this? You've got Min Doan, David Yao, Christian Firth. Did they all make this big plan and make this web of like, okay, we'll pass the things over there, and then if something happens, we can delete the emails, we'll put it through Christian's company, no one will find out? Or is it a bunch of people kind of working off the sides and they're all kind of involved, but they weren't actually connected directly? They were all skimming off the top themselves. Time will tell, but it's time to put these fools in jail. So thanks for watching the end of the video here. Be sure to subscribe, turn on the bell notification, ring the bell so you get notified all my videos when they come out. Stay warm, stay fed. I'll see you guys in the next one.